All right, everybody, we're back with our next expert when it comes to Social Media Day 2022. This lady is kicking ass and taking names. She is a podcast host and digital marketing advisor. She's been a content creator since 2008. She's doing this for over 14 years. Her current favorite platform is TikTok, and she is just an amazing individual. You're going to learn a lot of stuff here from this next session. It's the wonderful Whitney Lauritsen joining us from LA today here for Social Media Day. What is going on, Whitney? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about my one of my favorite topics. So,
Right.
TikTok is so interesting. I started using it in 2019. And back then it was seen as an app that people kind of made fun of. They thought, oh, that's just like a joke app. And it's amazing to watch how it's now being taken seriously. And I feel like we're still on the early side in terms of how it's used for business.
Yeah, totally. I'll be the first one to admit. It was basically, if you were doing TikTok, you were popping and locking on there. You were just basically short dancing. And that's about it. And I'm not much of a dancer. I mean, like, you don't want to see this moving on TikTok in a lot of cases, but we all know that's not a case. And I think TikTok has done such a great job of evolving in a lot of cases and helping their message and helping get the word out on it. And so why do you love it so much? Why is it your number one favorite right now?
Well, it's very authentic for the most part, even though the word authentic is a bit cliche these days when it comes to social media. I feel like TikTok is one of the few that truly embodies that word, because people tend to not get into this mode of just showing their best selves. For instance, Instagram's known for being the highlight reel. You go on there to kind of show off the best parts of yourself. You go on there to maybe edit pictures of yourself and pose and look very curated. Whereas as TikTok right now, and hopefully will remain to be, I actually expect it to change. But as of the last few years, it has been a very authentic platform where people show up as their true selves, however they look. They're not necessarily editing themselves, trying to look perfect all the time. And they're also talking about the challenges that they're having in life. They're sharing more of the reality of their human experience. And I think that draws us in and connects us more. So it's very compelling and thus a bit addictive too, because you feel like you're constantly seeing new sides of life and different types of people. And that's another huge advantage of TikTok too. It's unlike the other platforms currently where you're generally exposed to strangers versus other platforms, you're generally exposed to people that you're following. On TikTok, I actually see the majority of content from people I've never seen before. I don't know who they are, but it actually adds to a more of a interesting experience and constantly showing you something new. And then lastly, I really like the way the algorithm works, because if you understand it and the basics of it, which is how you interact with content on there, will really show you more and more of what you like, and it kind of gets to know you. So you end up having an experience of all this new content from different people, and yet it all seems like things that you like, which could be a little creepy because it's like, how does the algorithm know me so well? But I'll go on there and I'm like, yes, this is what I want to see. And then it kind of like rewards you for engaging with content that you like by showing you more and more of it. So for that reason, it can be a bit addictive, but in a good way.
I love it. I love it. And for those that are TikTok newbies, let's just say I'm a newbie here because I have a TikTok account, but I'm not on it that much. And for somebody who's a podcaster in real estate investing, we have different deals or case studies. We do some coaching on there. For those that are out there listening, what would you kind of recommend folks start doing? Going out there and posting short videos or sharing a video episode? Or what are some of the things that you think are the best 2 or 3 tips to starting off a new TikTok?
I love this. And I've actually done a number of presentations on the first few steps and some specifically around real estate, Scott.
Good.
So
all right. That was just not planned. Seriously. This was not planned. This is totally straight up from the cuff here, everybody. So this is good stuff.
It really is. But it was interesting. Last year, I was invited to speak at an event based around real estate and home ownership and all this. So I learned a lot about that world. And I studied what people were doing in that space and could talk with you so much about that, Scott. But in terms of first steps, number one is to go on the app and spend some time on there from two different perspectives. One is just go on and use it as a user. Go on there as a viewer to see how you feel. And if you're somebody who is a bit organized, for lack of a better word, I would say while you're on there, either thinking in your head, processing what you're seeing and taking some mental notes, and or writing those down. Sometimes I do this when I'm on the app, even though I've been on it for years. I'll take in a video and think, okay, why did I like this? Why didn't I like this? And if I can take some notes on that, it really gives me some ideas for content that I might want to create, or other accounts that I might want to go out and seek. So by paying attention to what's working for you, you're generally going to have a good idea, or at least a starting point for your audience, because generally our audience is very similar to us that we're giving content to, or at least we feel like the audience, our ideal customer, is almost like a friend of ours. So you can start to think, well, okay, what would they like? Would they like this video or not? And as you're doing that, taking those notes, you'll actually start to create a guide for you, a starting point, some templates for your first content. So going on this app, spending some time, even if it's 5 minutes a day, although I'd be impressed if anyone could limit themselves to 5 minutes a day on TikTok because of how addictive it is. If you're brand new to the app, I recommend going on there and searching for something, because like I said, the algorithm is really going to be customized to you. So if you're brand new, it doesn't know who you are. It's just going to show you very general content. So you may see some of these cliche things like the dancing that you mentioned. You may view it as, oh, this is just a bunch of kids on there. But statistically, almost every age range is represented on TikTok truly, and fairly evenly from ages, I think 10 to 50 are spread out and represented. And then the other ages, younger and older, are also on there, just might not be as much. So you may see some more teenagers, 20-year-olds on there, but go search for real estate, for example, and start finding some accounts that you can engage with that will teach the algorithm you want to see more and more of that. Take notes of the search results too, what phrases people are using in their captions, what hashtags they might use, what accounts you might be drawn to, follow some accounts. And truly, if you're taking notes on all of this, you will create a plan for yourself very quickly. And that can be a phenomenal starting point for you.
I love it. You highly, probably if your peers are on there, or I won't say competitors, but similar businesses, there you go. Seeing what they're doing, seeing what's having success, or seeing what others are doing to get success. Is it all about the views? Is it all about the engagement? You know, what's it all about? Or just getting the word out?
In terms of metrics. Well, it's interesting because some people go viral on TikTok and find it really easy and fast to have success. That is constantly fluctuating, just like any other social media platform, where that platform is changing so much. You can't depend on one strategy for too long.
Sure.
I'm a big fan, after all these years of studying social media, to take a little bit more of an organic present approach versus finding one thing and sticking to it. Because while it might work today, it might not work next week, because these changes are happening so quickly. So that's why I recommend spending time on the app, especially with TikTok, because one of the big things that thrives on that platform are trends. People love seeing usage of the same song, and one song will be popular for a few days, a few weeks or so, and then another song will become popular. It's very music driven on that app for the most part. That is shifting too. But for example, there might be a hit song or a song that goes viral on the platform that you've never heard of, but because of TikTok, musicians are actually finding a lot of success on there. So one big strategy on TikTok is to find one of those popular songs and do some music to it. They also have popular audio tracks where it might be basically an audio meme It's like a phrase somebody says that catches on, and now everybody's using it and they're doing their own version of it. And it's almost a bit of a competition to see who can do the best version of that trending song. Same thing with trends in terms of the style of your video. There's a lot of things you can do to play around with the length of your video, using text on the screen. So it's very creative. It's constantly evolving. And I feel like the people that tend to succeed on there, and success measured by engagement typically, but also the views, what's interesting, I should pause for a second to say, as I mentioned, the following side of TikTok certainly comes into play a bit, but I find most users do not follow other people. They tend to be drawn to the same people over and over again through the algorithm. So that, like I said, the algorithm may show you content that you're not following, or likely will show you content that you're not following. And if you're engaging with one user over and over again, you will still see them even if you don't follow them, right? So while you're creating content, thinking about the user experience, that if somebody engages with one of your videos, that's a sign maybe you should do more content like that, so that you'll still show up in the For You page, as they call it on TikTok, even if they're not following you, right? And doing that in a creative way, not doing the same content over and over again. And another example of something that doesn't work so well is actually, I find people that are too formulaic, meaning that their videos are predictable, their structure is always the same. That doesn't necessarily work so well on TikTok, because people will get used to it, they'll get bored of it, they'll want to move on. But I find if you are your authentic self, as I said at the beginning, people get drawn to your personality. They like who you are, much like a podcast, for example. They're coming back for you. You can change things up. You could do the trends or not do some of the trends. Just being yourself, giving value. Ultimately, you're entertaining, you're connecting with people, and you're giving them something that they can take away with. That's probably the biggest key to any social media platform, but definitely TikTok right now.
So that's, so basically get on there, playing around, interacting, sharing some stuff. What's the next tip for folks out there? Now, I'll let you answer that before my next question. I was about to ask question number 4 here, real fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, the more time you spend on there, so that you can know things like the trends, you can get those ideas of what feels good to you. You'll probably in the back of your head be thinking about, how would I do this video, right? So that's the next step, is to actually trying some of these things out. A lot of people say that consistency is huge on this platform. In fact, you're encouraged to make as many videos as you can. The TikTokers who are making a living off that platform are making probably 5+ videos a day.
Wow.
Do I recommend that? It depends on you. It depends on your bandwidth. It depends what's sustainable for you, right? If you can do at least 1 video a day, that's probably ideal. Although for me, I don't always follow that advice. If you go to my account on TikTok, I have a few, but my main account, I just go fluidly. I post whenever I want, because it doesn't really matter as much. And just a few days ago, I posted and got a good number of views for someone who doesn't post that frequently. So there are always going to be exceptions to these rules. And I don't encourage people to get too stuck on the best ways, the best strategies, because if that's not sustainable for you, then you're probably not going to use TikTok in the long run. So in addition to creating content, you also need to find what rhythm will work well for you, and keep tuning into, does this feel good? Because if TikTok feels like a chore, people can sense that. They can tell when you're phoning in, right? They can tell when you're following a formula. So for better or for worse, you do need to take an organic approach to TikTok for yourself and for your viewers. So that, I guess that's tip number 3. Tip number 1, watch the platform. Tip number 2 is to start creating. And number 3 is to find a rhythm that is sustainable for you in terms of creating content.
That works with your other strategies as well, other social media strategies. We were just talking to Tracy Hazard a little while ago, talking about how she's like 15 minutes a day, really kind of going back and engaging and stuff like that. It's kind of the same thing now. How long should you be? We're talking 30 seconds on TikTok, a minute? Can you post a whole like live stream to TikTok, or how's that kind of work for those that are curious?
It's really neat because the platform has evolved in a lot a lot of ways. The time in general, I mean, you'll hear people say, oh, this is the best amount of time to do a video. But again, I would throw that advice out the window. Generally, shorter is better. However, in the past few months, they've opened it up to 10-minute long videos, and people feel like they're moving more towards a YouTube-like experience. And that falls in line with a user like me who primarily watches content on TikTok. I barely ever use YouTube, barely Instagram or Facebook anymore. And a lot of people are saying the same. So it makes sense that eventually people will watch a lot of this long form content on there. Right now, I would say under 3 minutes is still a good amount of time. But the exception is always going to be, is your content either A, really valuable, and or B, entertaining? That's what people go on that platform. They either want to learn something or they want to feel entertained. If you can combine the two together, that's magic, right? So the length will not matter as much. It's just, can you keep people captivated long enough so that they're getting what they wanted from you? And you mentioned live streams. Live videos do work really well. In fact, some people say that going live consistently on TikTok will grow your following a lot. So you could certainly do live streams on there. You can't post the entire length of it, but their live stream capabilities are also growing. So in the future, maybe you will be able to put an hour-long live stream on there. So I wouldn't be surprised. Just stay tuned and maybe practice doing live streams on TikTok in the meantime.
Well, it's almost kind of like you mentioned about the 10-minute limit. That's great for a term of the day or what's going on today aspect of things, or a teaser. Hey, I got this thing coming up to register for it. Go here, to direct people to where they need to go for its a tease aspect to kind of cross-pollinate the audiences a little bit there. I guess you could say you're following, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a great tip as well. With your profile, you can add your Instagram, your YouTube on there. I don't think you can connect directly other platforms at the moment, but once you cross, I think 1,000 followers on TikTok, you can create a clickable link in your profile, just like you can on other platforms. So you can lead to your website. That's what I would recommend. Or you could lead to one of those link sharing apps where you have a list of your top links. So people use that. That's a very common, they'll use the phrase link in bio a lot on there, but people are used to clicking through. And as a podcaster, for example, you can tease an episode of your podcast and, people know to go click on your bio if they want to go listen to the full episode. So you can certainly do that. People mention YouTube a lot. Hey, the full video is on YouTube, and they'll connect the two together. But I would say the more that you can give the full value on TikTok, the better, because a lot of people don't want to leave the platform. And this is true of any platform, right? The platform itself wants you to stay. And most users just don't have the energy to jump from platform to platform all the time. So it's more if you can keep them on there and give them the value there, they'll associate you with wanting more once they leave TikTok, right? So now they're saying, oh, I'm ready to go listen to a podcast. I'll go listen to Scott's because I love his content on TikTok.
Or they'll binge a few of your videos, binge some of your content. Then like, okay, this guy, this gal, I really do want to listen to him for 30 minutes instead of just 5 minutes or 2 minutes here and there. They're valuable enough to have that investment of my time. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep scrolling, looking for something more valuable.
Right. And I see this approach work really well. I notice myself being drawn to certain creators, and that's giving me that know, like, and trust feeling that we often seek with social media. So if I happen to come across their podcast one day, see them interviewed on somebody else's podcast, for example, I'm more likely to listen because I'm familiar with them. I like them, I know them, and I trust them. So it's kind of like cultivating that feeling for somebody else to stumble upon you later on. And it just, again, feels more organic.
Mm-hmm. Being yourself, being organic. Honestly, that's really the winning formula out there versus trying to, as you said, everything in the box, everything formulated. You got to keep it fresh, baby, right? Keep it fresh. Otherwise, folks are going to you're going to fade on there.
Yeah. And you have to remember that people have become so savvy with social media. They know when you're trying to sell to them. They know when it's all about you. So if you make it about them, it's much more likely to work for them in the long run. But you have to play the long game. This is not a quick win strategy. This is having fun on a platform that's designed to have fun. and seeing how you can make it work for you. And it's so much experimenting. That would be one of my final tips, is that you often can't predict where things are going to go. In fact, there's a common experience on that platform of the videos that you spend the less amount of time and effort in tend to do better than the videos that feel very planned and polished. All the time creators say, gosh, I spent so much time on this video. I thought for sure this was going to be a hit, but the video that I spent 30 seconds on is the one that went viral. So I always come back to that and think, what is the least amount of effort, but the content that really resonates with me, that feels good to create, that feels easy, effortless, right? That is generally the feeling on that platform. And again, you won't know that unless you spend time on TikTok. You'll notice yourself very drawn to people who seem to be doing things on the fly, right? They're bringing you along. You're seeing a glimpse into their life. You're getting this quick value to them. And I'm generally turned off by people that feel too polished. Like, I don't want to hear a presentation. I want to hear like, hey, you're my friend, and let me tell you something real quick, or let me show you something. Let me tell you a funny story. Storytelling on there works really well. So if you can tap into a storyteller's mindset, that will generally perform quite well on TikTok, because who doesn't like a good story?
Well, that kind of leads me. I saw an article today pop up, and it's how it rolls out, where the number one TikToker is a comedian. And he's telling his short stories, his short jokes on there, and that's how he's really leveraged it over the last 3 years. A Nigerian comedian, but he's here in the United States. Yeah, I can't remember his name anyway.
I think it's I want to say Kali might be his name with a K. I feel his name starts with a K.
Yes,
and he's great. He actually is known for not speaking at all. He's known for watching other people's videos on TikTok. It's called duetting. So it's a side-by-side video. This is another great strategy. If you see something on TikTok and you want to respond to it, you can duet it. And so there'll be one video on this side, right? And he'll just be sitting there completely silent, but you can tell from his face how he feels. And he'll just sit there, and you're like so drawn in. You're like, what is his face going to do next? And his style for many years, or for a long time at least, was known for kind of saying like, this is too complicated. So he'll be stitching a video that had tons of instructions. And then he would pick up something and say like, actually, you can just do this with one step. And he wouldn't say a word. And it was a beautiful example of how you can convey a story just through your facial expressions and just through a reaction to something else.
That is awesome. Yeah, because facial expressions is actually more effective in the communication side these days versus, so it's lost in communication, text message, emails. It's lost because we don't see people's face on that. So that's awesome bringing that back also. Now, can you take like shorter videos, like, YouTube Shorts have been very big kind of for a while. Could you download those and then upload those into TikTok as well to kind of help prime the pump, maybe get some content there initially?
Absolutely. But remember, it needs to feel like it's a TikTok video.
Sure.
So this is true with all social platforms. Unfortunately, what works on YouTube may not work on YouTube. And we've seen what works on YouTube may not work on TikTok.
Right. We gotcha.
You see this all the time on Instagram, actually. This is a huge issue. People that came from Instagram and went to try to capitalize on TikTok, you could tell if they had not spent time on TikTok, because what works on Instagram probably doesn't work on TikTok. And that's why my number one tip is to spend time on TikTok before you create, because you will lose people. And it's also almost like, oh, this person, they don't get it. And they're going to move on. You kind of lose them. That's what the beginning, no pressure. You probably don't want to repurpose content from one platform to TikTok unless you feel like what you've already created is in alignment with the vibe, as they say, of TikTok. If it's not, it's going to flop and people might not come back to your content, right? So you'll probably get another chance in the future, but that first impression does make a lasting impact on somebody. And you have to work a little bit harder to convince them that you know what you're doing. So I would actually spend the time on TikTok and start creating something for that platform first. And then if you can repurpose later, go ahead. But I also recommend in terms of repurposing, starting on TikTok, because what's happened is the other platforms have learned so much from TikTok that they're now trying to replicate it. So if you do TikTok first and then repurpose to the other platforms, you're more likely to have a good experience versus the other way around.
Love it. I love it. This is awesome stuff, Whitney. We could go on longer, but I know we both got busy days ahead of us here. What is the best way for those that are listening here to connect with you, to follow up with you, and from there for Social Media Day 2022?
Well, I would say join me on TikTok. Come, let's chat over there. My account is at Whit Lauritsen. That's WHITLAURITSEN. You'll see me fluctuate a lot in content, but there is messaging on there. Same thing. I'm on Twitter. People send Twitter DMs, Instagram DMs. I'm on every platform under Whit Lauritsen. So that's great. But if you prefer email, my website is whitneylauritsen.com, and that has links to everything on there as ways to get in touch. And I'd love to chat more and see what you're doing on that platform.
Awesome. Whitney, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your expertise, and it's a breath of TikTok fresh air.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Enjoy your trip next week as well too.
Thank you. Thanks. So you'll be seeing some TikTok content on there actually. So stay tuned for lots of travel content.
Good stuff. I love it. Talk to you later.